Welcome to the Vergecast, the flagship podcast of tiny computers.
That's pretty good.
Tiny-er computers.
1 centimeter.
Gently
in
tinier
2
computers.
dimensions.
I'm your friend David Pierce. We're in the studio. Nilay Patel is here.
What's up?
We are full morning show is what I would say is our current
I have been
situation.
given little pieces of paper and a pen to write on. I'm very excited about all this. I don't have a laptop.
I'm gonna do this while we're gonna go to break like a lot while we're sitting here. This is gonna be great. I'm very excited about it. So 2 things we should say right up front. We've just been wanting to do more live stuff recently. This is like a thing we've talked a lot about, as you can see by the fact that this is 11 minutes late. We're still learning how all of this works, but we're here, we're live. It's like I love an emergency podcast. Like we make a lot of jokes about the idea of emergency podcasts, but when it's just like there's a thing that happened and we should talk about it, it's fun to be able to just like spin this up and start hanging out.
Also, Dave and I went to an event together, which is rare lately.
We were in a room together.
We were in a room together. We saw the stuff together. And we're like, we should just go back and do it right now. Why wait a day and be in different cities? So here we are.
Can you describe this event that we just went to? Particularly what I want you to do is describe the first 10 minutes of programming at this event.
Yeah.
It was a very strange morning.
It was a strange morning. I want to be very clear with everyone. Apple did not call this an Apple event. They called it an Apple experience.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 3 simultaneous experiences that you could have depending on where you were in the world. So there's one here in New York City. There's one, I believe, in Singapore or Hong Kong. And
I think it was
one in
Hong
London.
Kong. Yeah.
I don't know what happened around the world. Here in New York, we went to Apple rented a large event space. It was beautiful, full of press and creators, the usual suspects, a lot of old friends. And then we were ushered like around the corner in this warehousey event space to a room with just a giant TV in it, like a 200-some-inch TV,
Like huge empty space.
a huge empty space,
Giant
and just
screen.
a TV just doing the swirling, like glassy Apple logo animations.
Kind of like ominous in a way.
Yeah,
It's just
on
like
a-
come
on a
stand
pedestal.
and look at this.
Again,
large screen.
it's not an event; it's an experience. So then Apple's Trudy Mueller got on stage. She's a longtime PR person there, one of our favorites. She said, "Welcome," and then she introduced John Ternus, who is in charge of hardware at Apple, long rumored to be the next CEO of Apple. So this is fascinating. And he came on and said, "Look at all the stuff we announced for the last weeks. Got a special one for you, the MacBook Neo." And then they ran a quick video. And then that was it. And then he was like, "Great, you can go look at this stuff." And we all ran around the huge TV into a beautiful hands-on area with lots of space. And my favorite, there was like a coffee shop at the back of all this that they had made where we could sit down and actually work. Because usually that's not the case at these events.
Yeah.
I'm like in the corner, like with a laptop open, propped up in my hand, trying to get a photo on the internet. This is of no interest to the audience. I just want you to know, usually it's chaos to get those first photos
Yes.
out. And this was great. So just a really strange one because it was very focused on just getting to the stuff, including an entirely new MacBook, which is not the way they normally announce new hardware.
No.
Like if this was just the iPad and the 17E and a new MacBook Pro with a chip bump, I would have gotten it. But this is like an entirely new piece of hardware, the MacBook Neo, and it was super casual.
Yeah, so let's actually start with this. So the announcements that they talked about were the 17E, the iPad Air, the new MacBooks with M5 chips, the new Studio Display and Studio Display XR, all of which were around and we could touch them, and it was the first like hands-on experience anybody had with them. And then the Neo. And I would say even before, all anybody cared about was the Neo, right? Like this thing has been rumored for a while. The name came out, I think either yesterday or the day before. It was like, this was clearly coming. And there was a minute during that presentation where I was like, oh my God, they're not going to announce a new product at all. Because he said, like Ternus is up there and he said something to the effect of, you know, this is our lineup of products. And he shows the thing behind him with all of them lined up. And I was like, oh my God, this is just it. And then they dropped the Neo. But clearly, this is the only one. Like, I can tell you the story of everything but the Studio Display by saying, new chips, the end. And we can come to those. But the Neo is clearly the thing.
Yeah.
And my sense of this is Apple desperately wanted to make a laptop it could sell for $599.
$499 for education.
Yes, which I think you could make the case that's actually the price, right? Like this is, I go back to like when I was a kid. There were old like eMacs all over my classrooms.
And they looked like teeth at the top.
Yes. And this was like this was a key thing for Apple for a long time. The education market was a big deal.
The Apple II, Apple has a Chromebook problem in schools.
and has for 15 years.
Ages. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, every elementary school gives out a Chromebook to people. Their answer to this was the iPad for a long time. I think that answer is running into challenges because the Chromebook market is so huge that a lot of the apps that the schools want to use are just web apps.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever tried to use a web app on an iPad, David.
Once or twice.
That's not going to happen for you.
Well, I can do it now by downloading a different browser and then desperately trying to make that work.
So I think they have like a real, okay, you want a cheap machine that can run Chrome and GarageBand and all the other stuff that might be interesting in an educational context. Here you go.
Yeah.
And it is 8 gigs of RAM, and it has an iPhone chip in it, and it has a mechanical touchpad, which is Dave and I just spent a while just physically pushing a touchpad in. And
went. So you walk up to these. They have these big tables with all the different devices that you can try. And I walked right up to one of the laptops and started messing with it, doing the thing that we always do. And there's like an Apple minder standing there looking over my shoulder to make sure we don't steal the laptop. And I'm playing with the thing, spinning it around, looking at the thing, and I pressed the button, and it just came out of my mind, or it came out of my body. It was just like, oh my god, it clicks.
Yeah.
And the guy just started laughing. He's like, yeah, it clicks. It's exciting.
it's
like, sure.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's exciting in the sense that it's different. It's not what you expect. But they just made a bunch of compromises to make a cheap laptop. I suspect they're going to sell millions of them to people because it is an Apple. It's a MacBook. It's $600.
Yeah.
And we all have feelings about 8 gigs of RAM, I'm sure. But most people don't even know that they should have feelings about 8 gigs of RAM, and it's $600, and you can just buy it.
This is outrageous. You have lit me on fire over and over on this podcast for saying 8 gigs of RAM is fine.
It's not enough.
I am on record over and over and over saying 8 gigs of RAM is fine, and all you have done is mock me for it.
It's not
and now
enough.
you get to sit here and be like 8 gigs of RAM is no.
Well, look, it's here in
so angry
early
with you right
2026. I can't, in good conscience, tell people to spend money on RAM because I'm like, here's what I need you to do. I need you to sell your children,
Fair.
take out a mortgage on your house, and buy another 8 gigs of RAM. There was a time when the only upgrade you should do on a computer is buy more RAM.
Yes.
Now I feel like I'm asking people to make a meaningful sacrifice in their lives to get another 8 gigs of RAM. So things change, but it's not enough.
Right.
It's not enough, especially for a computer that I guarantee you will primarily be used to download Chrome and then keep 5,000 Chrome tabs open at all times.
That's the thing that is so good about a Chromebook, right? A Chromebook is the only thing that runs Chrome well. And has been for a long time.
Look, I have a Mac Studio. It runs Chrome fine.
No, it doesn't. It just has enough horsepower that it can pull it off.
Yeah.
You know, nothing runs Chrome efficiently other than a Chromebook, and that is the secret success of a Chrome. One very fun conspiracy theory is that Google is just sandbagging Chrome on every other platform in order to make it work.
So the 8 gigs of RAM argument is fully in the chat.
Good.
Right now.
I want to.
More people agree with you than not.
Yeah, and now you're joining my side, which is just outrageous.
I'm not joining your side. I'm just acknowledging the reality of the world in which we live.
Fair. Okay, so I'm actually with you. I think this thing is going to be hugely successful for a bunch of reasons I actually kind of didn't expect even as they were announcing this thing. But let me just walk through. I have my papers.
I'm going to take notes on the same paper that you're reading from.
I'm just going to walk you through a bunch of the trade-offs that Apple made here because I think the choices you make when you want to get from a $10.99 computer to a $5.99 computer are really fascinating.
Yeah.
So the most obvious one immediately is just the storage and memory specs, right? Instead of starting at 512 gigs of RAM and I believe instead of starting at 512 gigs of storage and 16 gigs of RAM, it's 256 and 8. So meaningful downgrade on both sides. I get a check from Nilay for that one. You get a Magic Keyboard that I would say, did you type on the thing at all?
I didn't spend any time really typing.
It felt fine. It's
fine.
like Apple keyboards are Apple keyboards at this point. They're all pretty good. You don't get the haptic trackpad. You get the thing that actually clicks, which I assume is a noticeably cheaper piece of equipment than the thing that they're trying to do with the MacBook Airs. It has 2 USB-C ports, one seemingly very fast and one much slower, which is interesting. There's been some specs running around that they're actually very different USB-C ports. There's no MagSafe.
There's no Thunderbolt.
There's no Thunderbolt. It has 2 side speakers. So when I first saw it,
by the way, MagSafe in this context means the power connector, not the phone MagSafe.
Right. I mean, listen, give it a minute and Apple will call it Apple TV. Do you know what I mean? But there are 2 sort of slits on either side, kind of level with the trackpad, that are speakers that are side firing. And in that that room we were in, it's very hard to tell what it sounds like. But
No, I know what it sounds like. It sounds bad.
yeah,
And
I
when
suspect
John
that's
Turnus looked me in the eyes and said, it supports Dolby Atmos, I thought to myself, John, you're in line to be the CEO of one of the richest companies in the world. Don't start by lying in this way.
There's supporting Dolby Atmos and there's
It was weird that I
Doing
interrupted
good.
the entire event and addressed him by name.
Nilay walked up and said, "Take Dolby Atmos out of your mouth."
They're fine. They're going to be fine for what they are, but they are side-firing speakers that will, when you add the unbelievable amount of Atmos music processing to them, will sound even tinnier than ever. I guarantee it.
Which I think is a small bummer because I actually think as laptops go, MacBook speakers are pretty good. Like the MacBook Pro speakers in
Yes, those are
particular
very
are
good.
pretty good. The Air is like fine. But so it has the speakers. I thought they were SD card slots at first. There's also a headphone jack near the front, which I hate.
It's an odd place for it, but I get it because
Don't like it. Not a fan. Why put it
in
there?
schools you got to plug in like the weird splitters and stuff. You need space.
I guess that's true. That kind of makes sense. But yeah, so it's up towards the front. That's weird. The thing weighs about the same as the MacBook Air, but is a little thicker and a little smaller. So it's smaller in the like depth and width dimension, but a little thicker. And it feels, I don't know if you picked the thing up, it's a dense
Yeah, it's a tank.
little thing. Like you sort of want to swing it at somebody. Like it is a real
So
piece
it's great
of metal.
for schools in
It's
that way.
Yeah. I wonder if they did go out of their way to make it more durable. They didn't really talk about that.
They didn't. I'm imagining it's more durable, and I think it's also probably more repairable. Like just the way we didn't get a lot of big lecture about unibody construction and all this like stuff. I imagine this thing is made for a context where kids are going to beat it up.
Yeah.
And that's fine. My disappointment, such as it is, it's not a huge disappointment, is I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. When they announced that it was 13 inches, I kind of went, oh no.
You want like the old 12-inch MacBook.
Or
kind of
or the
footprint.
old 12-inch PowerBook.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like there was a size, there's one tick smaller of size that I think just lends itself to being a really compact computer, really great for travel. It's like the old sub notebook class that used to exist. It's kind of gone now. I had a 12-inch PowerBook. I had that 11-inch MacBook. I love that size of computer. It's just gone. And like I was sort of hoping we would see a return, but it's 13 inches. It is basically the size of a MacBook Air. The way to think about this is that it's not a new ultra portable. It's a cheaper MacBook Air.
Right. Which I think is really interesting because the comparison a lot of people have made is to the iBook, which was a like last generation swing at this same kind of thing. Like how do we make something that is geared more towards young people, is a little more fun? Like it wasn't sort of a PowerBook. It was a different kind of device. But that one was bigger, it was more colorful, and it was very specifically in a lot of ways designed to do this particular job, right?
Yep.
Whereas this just feels like it is in almost every meaningful way a cheaper MacBook. Like it is not a different device for a different kind of
There's
person.
one thing. The one compromise we haven't talked about is the fact that it has a A19 in it.
A18 Pro.
A18 Pro, sorry. A18 Pro. So the iPhone 17e has an A19 in it. It's weird that it's a different chip in the
It is
MacBook
weird.
than the iPhone. Yeah, A18 Pro chip in it instead of an M series chip.
Yes.
And the word on the street is that when they were designing the A18 Pro, they knew they were going to put it in a MacBook.
Oh, really?
This is the word. This is a very sketchy
very
rumor.
interesting.
But like, Apple likes to be like, we integrated up all the plans from the very beginning. So it's unclear what the true performance compromise here is going to be, but that is the main compromise. And my sense of it is you get so much more scale making iPhone chips that you can bring that cost down compared to any M series chip.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And that is one enormous way to save money, is to just coast on smartphone scale for anything.
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining that for most people, this will be underpowered in any meaningful way. Like, if you put those two things next to each other, right? It has a smartphone chip and it has 8 gigs of RAM. Which of those is more likely to cause users problems? Like, I would sort of say neither, but my guess would be it's the 8 gigs of RAM.
It's the 8 gigs.
Is more likely to be a problem than like the raw horsepower of the A18 Pro.
Yeah, but my sense of it is that Apple's sort of mobile chips in iPhones and iPads have been limited by their OS more than their capability for a long time.
Yeah.
And so when, the M1 was not a huge leap forward from any of the A series chips that we were seeing at that time. I'm still using an M1 Pro laptop. It's fine.
Yeah.
I use it every single day. Still one of the greatest laptops ever bought. So I suspect, A18 is way ahead of that M1 Pro. I think it's going to be fine in this context. I think it's going to choke on that RAM.
Yeah, that could be.
And Apple made a bunch of promises about all the things it could do, right? It can do whatever Apple Intelligence it can do. They showed it running GarageBand. They showed it editing photos. Like, you're gonna hit the RAM way fast. And then because it's unified memory, if you play a game, you're gonna hit that RAM real fast. I'm unclear how fast the storage is. So if you end up in swap, which is a real problem on 8 gig Macs, a lot of times they can cover it because their storage is fast.
Right.
But if you end up on swap on 8 gigs of RAM with slow storage on a computer like this, am I really? We're going to see. We're going to have to review the computer, but that's the sort of trade-off that I think they're making.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one because what we normally do with MacBooks is like the benchmarks get predictably better, and sort of a set of new things becomes better to do on your MacBook. This one is going to be a real test in the opposite direction, right? Like what starts to fall apart as you lose this processing power is a very fun, bizarre question to try and figure out in the year 2026. The other thing that has come up a bunch, to your point about the M1, is that up until very recently, you could just go to Walmart and buy an M1 MacBook Air for this price or very close to it. And there are a lot of people, including in our Slack, running around being like, that's still the better deal. You should just buy an old MacBook Air. Old refurbished MacBook Airs are not hard to find.
Yeah.
You can get them pretty cheap. Maybe that's the better deal. Do you buy that argument?
I think it just depends on who you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably buy that argument.
Yeah. I think, to me, the thing that this has going for it is the colors. Like, if we're just being honest, right? Like, the thing that this has that no other MacBook will sell you is the fun colors, which I confess, slightly underwhelmed by.
They're very pale.
Yeah.
And the citrus, the yellow, like a pale yellow that looks let's call it stained.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, I have this blue iPhone 16 that I love. The orange iPhone 17 Pro was like hugely popular. People really liked it. And you just can't figure out why Apple refuses to properly bring that to its other devices, right? It keeps doing with the iPads, these really pale,
I gotta tell you, David,
light colors. What?
The people in the chat love the colors.
Listen, the people in the chat should see them in person. I love the colors too, and I think I'm a fan in general of the existence of these colors, right? But it's like you have the opportunity to either like be bold and vibrant, which keeps working for Apple. This is the thing. Every time Apple like really pushes on color, people love it. They sold an orange iPhone and people went nuts for it.
Sitting right here.
Yeah, and they just, for some reason, with the iPads and with the Macs, just refuse to kind of go all the way down that road.
Yeah.
Which I find odd. But I still think tons of people are going to like this thing.
I'm very curious to see how many of the other ones I saw. Once you see it in person, you're like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
And then you will probably buy indigo or silver. Like, that's the way it's made.
And there's just a couple of other, like, they said that they color matched the keyboards. And it's possible that we were in this very specifically lit room that makes it very hard to tell anything. This is one of the strange things about any Apple event is they light it so intensely and so aggressively that it gets very hard to see certain things, right? Like, oh, you look pretty good on the webcam because it is professionally lit by a large team of people whose job that day it was to make sure you look good on the
15 years into running The Verge, no other company has figured out that people with cameras like well-lit rooms.
Yeah, everybody
you go
else
to other
is,
companies' events, they're like, the whole room is pink. And it's like, well, that is no fun at all.
Yeah, they're like, welcome to our cave.
Yeah.
Would you like a hands-on? And it's like, I can't
so
see
Apple,
anything.
like, it's true. It's a very well-lit room. They understand who the audience in those rooms are, but it's hard to see anything for real.
Yes.
In that specific way.
Yes. Yeah, but so they said they color matched and you can even see in the pictures Antonio took for the site that it's even paler still than the colors. Where it's like I look at this keyboard and it's like color match the whole thing. Like do the whole job and I'm into it. I will buy the hell out of a purple laptop. Like, are you kidding me? Sell me a purple laptop and I will buy it. But like light sort it's like they sat it next to a paint can. And it's like that's the colors. A
lot of questions about the name here. I'm seeing fly through the chat.
I asked this before we started because I'm genuinely torn on Neo. I honestly thought it was a code name. I didn't think there was any chance this thing would be launched as the Neo.
I think they've got it right with iPad, iPad Air, iPad Pro.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And I think iPad Air is still somewhat meaningless, but they've managed it I think in that product line, you buy an iPad for your kids. Most everybody should buy an iPad Air, and then there's like iPad sickos who are like, I don't have a computer anymore. I use an iPad. Like, I don't know what they're doing, right? And like that's all.
Look at all this processing power I can't take advantage of.
Exactly. Like, real estate professionals everywhere. Like I have a 12.9-inch iPad Pro. We're gonna look at Matterport together on it. Like whatever's happening there is happening there. But that makes sense because that market is segmented. The problem with the Mac line is the MacBook Air is the only computer most people should buy. The MacBook Pro is very well defined, and there's not any space left on the bottom.
Right. Well, because Apple for many years now has very deliberately not occupied that space.
Well, they've not occupied that space, but the Air was supposed to be like the sub notebook, right? It was supposed to be thinner and lighter, and the problem is that it's the default. So I think if you brought back the MacBook, you would confuse everyone into thinking that it was like the default MacBook, and no one would buy it.
Sure.
And what you're trying to do is you're trying to sell a $500 computer to the education market or kids or whoever. And so you need to do it the same way as the iPad, where the base model iPad, everyone understands this device is for Disney Plus.
Right. Right.
That's
this
why
is
you're
the
buying
cheap one.
this one. This is the cheap one.
Yeah.
And I think there's just too much history there. I think they wanted literally, I think it's called Neo because they wanted a clean start with this product instead of ever being like, do you start with the MacBook? Because the reality is, and it has been for over a decade now, everyone starts with the MacBook Air.
Right. Well, and the 12-inch MacBook was decidedly not an entry-level machine. Wasn't it more expensive than the Air?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they lost that thread.
And that computer just like didn't work. Like it didn't work.
Yeah.
There was a time when they made even the black and white plastic MacBook Pros, I believe, they were just MacBooks.
That's true. I think that's right.
And those were great. But like the Air was meant, the cost of the Air, the additional price premium was to make it smaller, and that time has come to an end.
Yeah. I think the Neo thing is particularly interesting to me because it is like, and Turnus said this in introducing the thing, like they are very clear that this is for people who have not previously owned a MacBook. This is not, if you own an Air and next time you upgrade, they are not interested in you saying, oh, should I buy this or should I buy the Neo? Like this is Fisher Price my first MacBook. You know what I mean? Like, and clearly that's what Apple needs, right? Like we're seeing Apple do a lot more price point chasing than it has in the past. Like you can sort of see this company being like, we need to sell things at this price, and this price, which is not normally how it is operated. They've just been like, here's a thing we made. It costs what it costs. Screw you. It's $3,500. Enjoy. But I think if you're gonna do that, the name Neo does make sense to me. I still don't know that it's a great name, but I see the thesis behind it. At least,
did you see that font?
No.
Woo. What? Woo. Boy, do I have feelings about how they're typesetting the words MacBook Neo.
Wait, hold on. Now I have to look.
It's like a chunky lowercase. I don't know, man. It's like your dumb friend. I don't know how else to describe this font.
What?
See what I'm saying?
Are they trying to do a matrixy thing?
I mean, you gotta do
like
it.
It says
bit.
Hello Neo.
Yeah, obviously.
They're. Does anybody get if you are a child in school who might buy this to go to 8th grade? Do you have any idea what the Matrix is?
Well, no one can be told what the Matrix is. Dude.
Then it would be too late.
You have to look at Citrus yourself.
I don't know about this.
I'm just
font,
saying
guys.
it's a font. It's a font.
It sure is a font.
They made some choices with the font.
Yeah.
All right, we should talk about the rest of it because the only thing worth talking about, really, this nonsense MacBook, is the Studio Display XDR.
Yes.
Which I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's wrong.
It's $3,300.
Yeah.
It's almost the price of a Vision Pro.
I stood there with Phil Schiller, who was standing by the Studio Displays, and I said, well, I'm going to buy this. And he goes, yeah. And I said, I don't need it. And he goes, I don't either. And then we both looked at it and agreed that we were going to buy them.
I mean, it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like I am not, as you know well, a display guy particularly, but like even standing there, so they had, I think they had a row of 4 of them, and it was an XDR and then 2 regular Studio Displays in the middle, and then another XDR, and you just look at them next to each other and you can see the difference, like between a terrific display and something even better. Like you can see it with your eyes.
Studio Display, which I believe is still $15.99.
Yeah.
right? They've left it alone. That panel is effectively from 2011, 2012 era panel. It's the same LG 5K panel. I am sure that over the past 12 years, the colors are a little more saturated than
Sure.
right? Like they've made it a little bit better. But from everything I understand, you're still looking at the same fundamental edge-lit LG 5K panel from 2011, 2012 iMacs. And I still have an old-ass iMac sitting on the floor of my office staring at me, dead to the world. The hard drive clicks when you plug it in. And every time I think I should buy a new 5K monitor, that thing is like, no, your destiny is repurposing this display.
Yeah.
And it sits there and I don't buy a new monitor.
Yes.
Because I cannot bring myself to buy the same panel that's literally sitting on the ground, that if I just had a little more liquid courage flowing through these veins, I would extract and turn into a real monitor.
You've been threatening this for like years now.
I'm gonna, one of these days. I've done so much stupider stuff, and I still haven't done this. Anyhow, that's one thing. And I think the studio display is just a mess for that. The XDR is very expensive, $3,300, but it is right. It is local dimming backlight, micro LED. It looks beautiful. The colors are vibrant. It's only an eighth of an inch thicker than the studio display. Like that is a remarkable packaging job. And if you believe that you're gonna have a monitor for a long time, you can liquid courage your way into buying that one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it was very funny because I was getting a demo of it, and they're talking about, who is this person, who is this for, who is the kind of core use case for this. And one of the things they talked about is like print designers, people who are like, they have to lay out the magazine and make. And I was like, well, there aren't any of those anymore. So like, what else you got? And then they're going through, architects and people who make billboards, and like this is a sort of like reference display for a lot of people, right? So it's very important that it is accurate, and they have the Adobe RGB color suite. Like it is clearly aimed at a specific kind of person, not just somebody who wants a really great monitor, which I think is frankly what the studio display was. Do you know what I mean? It's like the studio display initially was like very good computer monitor with shitty webcam. It was like that was the story of the studio display. This feels like it is actually like pointed more directly at a set of people with a set of professional needs. You are not one of those people.
No.
You just want really good monitor.
I can leave extremely brutal comments on David's Google Docs drafts on almost like any display that exists,
including your flip phone.
This is bad.
Yeah, right.
I don't need it. But again, if the regular studio display is so overpriced for the thing that it is. And I know Apple sells them a lot. I get notes from our listeners and our readers apologizing for buying the studio display in like a weird turn of events. Because I reviewed the first one, I gave it a miserable score because the webcam was so bad and so overpriced. And so people send me notes and they're like, I just need you to know that I had no choice but to buy a studio display because it looks so nice next to my Mac, and the weird BenQ thing does not.
Yeah, the odd thing I bought on Amazon for a third of the price.
Same panel. You can buy monitors made of reject LG panels now, 5K 27-inch monitors for $500, and I guarantee you they're not nearly as good.
I'm gonna do that.
I guarantee you that their colors are going to be all kinds of crazy. I guarantee their reject panel, like something's going to be wrong with them. But you can just go on Amazon and buy a 27-inch 5K display with effectively that same LG panel in it for $500. And Apple's like, what if $1,600? So that thing is just like it's occupying a different space. I think the XDR for the audience that it has it's just the step up. Yeah. And then because it's modular, I am going to personally convince myself that I will have it for a decade or more, and then be like, it's just $300 a year. And that it's paid for.
It's for $1 a day. You too can have one of these.
That's right. It's like every single day I'm going to not go to Starbucks, and I'm going to look at my extravagant monitor that can be calibrated for use by medical professionals, and I'm going to open Slack, and it's going to be awesome.
But you're going to open like the blacks in the Slack theme are going to be so sick.
I can't believe I'm going to buy this thing. I'm super gonna buy this thing.
Yes, I mean, I do think it was just very funny to see this next to the MacBook Neo, which is because this is pure Apple just being like, we put all of the technology into this thing. Here's what it costs, and Apple is actually making an argument that $3,200 is extraordinarily expensive for a computer monitor, but next to a lot of the stuff that other people you buy and use. Like you talk all the time about this TV thing that you judge, where like the reference monitor costs $1 million.
Yeah.
$3,200 in this kind of professional setting is not that absurd a cost.
My belief, and no one agrees with me anymore, is that it's just true. It's just no one agrees with me. Is that you should overpay for displays because you spend so much of your life looking at them and they last forever. And not in the context of phones, because everyone gets a new phone every 2 years or whatever. But like anything that's just going to be in your house for a long time, the premium on this is beautiful is worth it. David's like, I bought a $12 TV that has ads on it. Like
I couldn't even tell you the brand of my monitor. No, I feel the same way about screens that I feel about wine, which is like you should never develop a taste for the good stuff because it's just a waste of money. If you think $6 wine tastes good, hell yeah, live your life.
This is like an AI slop rendering that's appeared in my brain of you just chugging the Franzia out of the bag in college. Like I know this happened to you and you never moved on.
It was Trader Joe's $2 chuck.
Sure.
And yes,
when I was in college,
yes.
This is how old I am. I just want to say this. It's a studio display under here. I'm going to tell you a story about Franzia. When I was in college, the bag was silver foil. Now they're plastic and they look gross. But when I was in college, the Franzia came in a silver foil bag and you would pull it out of the box. And my friends and I would call it Spacewine, and then we would just walk down the street chugging the Spacewine. Anyway, I think you should buy a $3,300 monitor.
I love this. I love this for you. So wait, back to the MacBook Neo for 1 second. One thing that has come up a bunch in the chat is a thing that you were talking about, which is people who have more powerful desktop machines wanting basically a road computer.
Yeah.
Which is a very funny use case because Apple makes one of those, and it has been desperate to convince you that the iPad is your road computer. No. That the correct way to live your life is Mac Studio and iPad. That is the future Apple wants you to believe in.
Right, and that's when if you have like an Apple marketing job where you spend half your day like making assets and the other half of the day presenting assets.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you do.
But you're a Mac Studio guy, right? That's like your main machine. You're very compelled by the idea of being a Mac Studio MacBook Neo guy.
If it was smaller.
Okay.
When I thought this thing would be about the size of, I keep calling it a plain computer. That MacBook, that 12-inch MacBook with the single USB-C port, the 11-inch MacBook Air, what's it, 11-inch, that one, the 12-inch PowerBook, I used these computers on planes primarily, and they were terrific on planes. Because, the seat back is small, you don't want to lug around all the stuff. Like, I traveled with those computers almost exclusively, and whatever trade-off I would make at now I have a slow computer wherever I've arrived. It's like totally worth it for the space saving. This is like, again, this was the sub-notebook category. We live in New York. Like we are on trains all the time. Like having the small computer really, really played. I don't think the Neo is small enough.
I think that's probably right.
Like it doesn't. There's just not a part of this from like I should just get an Air. Like that
but what I wonder is like
M1 Air is still going to do the job.
I'm not sure small enough exists, right? I think this has been the problem. Is you get to like 10 inches and you start to make a bunch of other really ugly sacrifices, like you get a smaller keyboard, which causes all kinds of problems.
It's right between 11 and 12.
I think that's probably right. I mean, I will say the closest I've seen to it was that 12-inch MacBook, which again had a series of other problems, like a disastrously bad keyboard.
Bad
but
keyboard,
size-wise,
miserable
that thing,
Intel processor.
Like if you could just put a good computer inside of that shell, I'd buy the hell out of it. Like that the size of that thing was right in a lot of ways.
Someone help me repurpose the guts of my iMac so I can use the display, and then I will dig out. It's actually the one I have is Dieter sold it to me.
Nice.
It was Dieter's, and he sold it to me, and I still have it. So if anyone wants to put an iPhone in my 12-inch MacBook, which at the time had an Intel i7, like mobile i7 in it, it's a horrible processor.
A lot of weird decisions from that era of Apple. All right, we should also talk about the iPhone.
You don't want to talk about Franzia?
Very telling, by the way, that the iPhone is the third product we're talking. No, wait, the third product we're talking about today.
And I'll give you two pieces of supporting evidence for the fact that it's the third product. One, we all rush into the hands-on area, and everyone stops, and it's like organized in stages. So it's like the MacBook Neo, the iPad, the studio displays, and the iPhones. And I was assigned go get the hands-on of the iPhone. Antonio and Owen you got to get the MacBook Neo, and then David is like, I'm the editor at large. I'll just wander around making small talk.
That's right.
Whatever it is that you do.
That's
also did the MacBook
No. That's precisely correct.
So I run to the iPhone because your job here is to run. There's like a real thing when you're at the live event, and I was the only person there for 10 minutes.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Oh,
I just
God.
hung out with all the people. I met the product managers.
Uh-huh.
I took photos of all the colors. So I just was there like, by myself for a while. And I
They're like,
rushed,
we sell a lot of these, right?
I rushed to get the photos up, and I come back, I like loop around, look at all the stuff. I come back to the site, I look at the iPhone 17e hands-on, 0 comments.
Oh,
Brutal.
I mean, I don't
still
know.
look. The old man still got it. I had those photos up before anybody else.
With your
And they're beautiful.
35-year-old DSLR.
Yeah, with my 2014 Nikon D7500, the 40mm macro, the single greatest hands-on camera ever made.
True.
But no one cared, I think, is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. I mean, I forget what your headline was, but it was something to the effect of like, yep, here it is.
that was actually the first draft.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, Apple seems to be on the same grind with the 17e that it is with the MacBook Neo, which is like, how do we make the right set of trade-offs to sell cheaper phones? It used to be smaller phones.
So this
It is no longer smaller
trade-off
phones.
is almost verging on unacceptable for me for $600.
Why?
Here is the trade-off of this. It's not the camera. It's not whatever else. It is a 60 hertz LCD.
That's bad.
It's bad, and I'm so not used to shooting LCDs anymore.
That's another thing that's great about the studio display, by the way, 120 hertz.
See, I think you should spend $3,300 on a display.
Okay, can I offer you a studio display or a Vision Pro?
This is like
You know how bad that makes the Vision Pro
this is
look?
that's a personality test. You have $3,500. Is it going to be a studio display or a Vision Pro? Like there are two
Or like a
wolves.
souped-up Mac Studio.
I know there's one right answer, and then there's like a group of suckers, and like you can just sort them out and be like, you're on the one ship that's going to the special planet, and you're the future of humanity.
Yeah, that's about right.
I'm just saying. Anyway, 60 hertz LCD. So I'm not used to shooting LCDs anymore because almost all the phones we shoot are OLEDs. So I'm taking photos. I'm realizing that it's banding because I'm shooting faster than 60 hertz. It's just like I felt like I was going back in time. Like this is a problem that I don't have anymore because there aren't 60 hertz LCDs around that are like you are often shooting in this. So that is the compromise of this thing. They compromise the display. They're calling it a Super Retina XDR display, which 100% means LCD, 60 hertz. Everything else is fine. Everything else is iPhone.
Yeah.
It's an A19. It's a 48 megapixel fusion sensor on the back. Apple loves to just sort of like say camera words as loudly as they can to make you not question if those words mean the things they're supposed to mean, so that you can crop that 48 megapixel sensor down to optical quality to
Nope.
zoom.
It's one camera.
And
It's still just the one camera.
it's like you're just cropping the sensor. What does optical quality mean? Also, because the optical quality of the 40 megapixel sensor by default is doubled up 24 megapixel photo. So anyway, this is just a lot. Like, but we'll test it. But all that's like very familiar now. The trade-off here, it's $600, which in Android world will definitely get you an OLED, is a 60 hertz LCD.
Yeah. Well, and I think the way people buy phones is just not the way people buy MacBooks, right? Or laptops or any other device. Like, I think you're in this position now where people are holding onto their phones longer and longer.
Oh, the chat is extremely telling me it's OLED. I asked them very directly if this thing was an OLED or an LCD, and they made the noise at me that said LCD.
I don't know. There's a real debate. Bugs and stuff has your back on it being an LCD. You did come out of your demo saying it was an LCD.
I mean,
So either somebody
I
told you
looked
wrong.
the person in the eye
Yeah.
before I was doing the hands-on and said, "Is this an OLED or an LCD?" And they went, "It's a Super Retina," and they wouldn't say OLED. Hold on, let me. I This is why
Welcome to the portion of the Vergecast where Nilay reads the fine print on the Apple website.
I mean, you don't see this when we don't do these lives. I check all the time. What are the people saying?
No one, I would say you're down like 70-30. A lot of people think it's an OLED. But at any rate.
Oh, okay. They say Apple's official page says OLED. So I was misinformed at the event because I asked
There you go.
very specifically. In any case, the 60 hertz refresh, I think it's $600. It's still a problem. I'm sorry, we're going to have to edit this when this goes out live.
It's true.
We're going to censor ourselves.
It'll just be a long bleep sound as Nilay reads.
But I
Apple's
really did.
website.
I looked at the person who handed me the phone and said, "This is OLED, right?" And they went,
Like, how dare you? Yeah. I think the 60 hertz thing is real. I think.
"Oh, wait, can I?" A lot of people are telling me that Liquid Retina is LCD. Can I tell you that you're right?
Okay.
I know Liquid Retina is LCD, and I once in a briefing with Apple spent a long time being like, "What do you mean by liquid? What does liquid mean?" And they finally caved, and I'm like, "It just means rounded corners." That's it. That's what that means.
I mean, that's the liquid glass story. Rounded corners of unknown radii that are never the same across apps. Liquid glass.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing here. Great job, Apple.
Okay, so I don't see this on the Apple website anywhere because there's no tech specs page for this thing yet. Oh, there is. Here it is. Okay, I was wrong. It's an OLED.
There you go.
I looked the person in the eye, and they straightforwardly were like,
Fair enough. Well, still, I think it would be worse if it was an LCD for sure.
Yeah.
But I remember, so when I last reviewed the iPad Mini, there was this big sort of long-running controversy about the jelly scrolling effect on the iPad Mini, which is like in part about screen refresh. And I said there, and I still feel the same way, that is again in the list of like, don't ever taste good wine. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
And for somebody like you who is coming from big screen, 120 hertz, boy do you notice. Boy do you notice the downgrade. And I think there are a lot of people who say you wouldn't see it if you hadn't sort of trained your eyes to see it. But I think increasingly, as people are starting to play games more and more, in particular, you see it.
yeah.
Like it
Oh,
doesn't.
they demoed games for me, and you could definitely see it.
Yeah, like I don't think it matters in the course of like scrolling TikToks on your phone. I don't think you're gonna see the tearing in a way that like sucks and makes you hate your phone. But you see it in games, and there are.
Wait, I can see it in this
I know you can, but most people who are going to buy a 17e are not coming from a Pro Max, so that's fine. But like, I do think that is a real, like, actual user experience sacrifice in that one particular way, and that is such a core thing people do on their phones now is play games. That like you notice it's a big difference.
Now people are confused about whether OLED technology is LCD. No, I'm just wrong. I'm just like, I'll just admit it. I was somewhat misinformed of the event, and I was in a rush.
Well, the good news is once we hang up this live stream, we're going back.
We're going back
for
Yeah,
some
we're
meetings.
back
We
over
will
there.
we will ask this question. We will look more
Well, no, I
people
think
in
the
the
tech
face.
specs page is right. I just didn't look before we did it because when someone tells you, you know.
Yeah.
I think I was so struck by the 60 hertz refresh, which I can definitely see, and I associate that with the other thing.
Sure.
So apologies for. Thank you all for correcting me. I
This
just
is what
think
the chat's for.
when I see it's $600, 60 hertz is still not okay, right? And that's like that is the compromise of this device.
Yeah.
Full.
Again, especially because most people are not paying the $600. You're trading, like, Verizon will so happily give you a new phone for any reason. You just call Verizon and you say hello, and they're like, "Would you like a new phone?" You can you can just have it.
And so
I think the idea
I don't
that,
think
like,
most people are going to end up paying actually $600 cash for this.
that's what I mean.
They're going to get a trade in, or it's going to be free, or it's going to be on sale. I think
Right. And it's obviously different in other places around the world where people are more likely to like plunk down cash. But I also think the way you feel about displays is how I feel about phones. Like, I think you should overspend on your phone because it is in almost every case the device you use the most that does the most things in your life. And whether screen alone is a reason to upgrade, I think I've heard from a bunch of people already who are mad at not having two cameras.
They put the tech specs page up.
Thank you.
Now I'm being dunked on by the video switchers.
Owned by Travis. Like, I think when I went from the iPhone Pro back to the base iPhone, I noticed losing the third camera, and you really notice losing the second camera. And all the fusion sensor stuff is nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just a camera you can crop, and you will notice not having it. And so there is a real set of trade-offs you have to make to do this thing that aren't going to show up in the giant credit card purchase. And so for me, it's like, I have an easier time telling somebody to buy a MacBook Neo over an Air than I do telling you to buy a 17e over a 17.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially now, because the base 17 is like a terrific phone that almost everyone should buy if you want an iPhone. And that hasn't always been the case, but Now it is, and it is like handily worth the upgrade price over the 17E for me.
Yeah, I think that's right. Also, people hold on to these phones forever.
Yeah.
And so it's the same argument to me with screens, right? Like if you're going to have this thing and you know it's 4 years, which is where people are stretching these phones out to. By the way, Taylor Swift has a 13. I saw a picture of her
Really?
recently. She's 13. People have them for a long time.
Taylor, if you're listening, and I know that you are,
I think
Taylor,
it's a 13 Pro.
it's time to upgrade. You'll like the orange one. Call me. We can talk about this. We'll go to the Verizon store together.
That is an episode of the Vergecast. That's the only way to dig ourselves out of this hole. My mistake here is to get Taylor on to talk about why she hasn't upgraded her phone.
I think David and Taylor go to the Verizon store is like an Emmy waiting to happen.
It's either great or it's a car crash. Anyhow, you hold on for so long, it is actually worth it's worth the extra money, and I think that's why you see it's the pros that people are buying.
Yeah.
Right. Like the volume seller in this last run, I think, was actually the Pro, and I think people understand the trade off of I want to have this for a long time.
Yeah. Especially with the camera, I think in particular, that it is like this is a thing worth investing in now that you are doing it less and less often all the time, which I think is awesome. We should briefly talk about the iPad, which I think we have waited this long to talk about correctly and on purpose.
Yeah.
There's a new iPad Air. The end. Yes.
I told David he should just do the hands-on with the iPad Air that was already in his backpack and like see if anyone knows. I think it's wrong for us to do disinformation, so like we didn't. But like I'm pretty confident that if you had just been like iPad Air hands-on and published it before the event.
I have a stack of iPad Airs at home, and I'm very excited to add the new one to it and see if I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like, which iPad is this that I'm getting out is an increasingly hard game to play at my house.
Yeah.
I will say I was really hoping the announcement this week would be a big upgrade to the base iPad, because that one is sort of slowly being left behind, right? All these chip bumps, they're not like individually all that meaningful generation to generation, especially now that Apple is revving these so fast. Like it used to be a couple of years between iPads, and now we've had 3 and 2 years basically. But the chip bumps matter over time. And like you talk about how long people keep their phones. People keep their iPads for like a decade. They're one of the longest lasting devices you'll find, which is awesome. But what it does mean is that you should future proof that as much as possible. So like every one of these chip upgrades, I think, is good news for the iPad, because when you need a new iPad because yours breaks, like my mom is my favorite barometer of this. She uses the absolute hell out of her iPad, and she will use it until the point where she comes to me and she's like, David, the Hulu app won't open anymore. And that's when it's like, all right, mom, it's time to time to upgrade. Like you have officially lost software support, and now we can upgrade. And we're just gonna get her the new one, right? And it's gonna be fine. And with every chip bump, it's like, okay, I'm buying you another year of use on this thing that you will get out of it on the other side. It's a bummer that the base iPad didn't get it, because it just continues to be like multiple generations out of date on that. And now I have to, like, for years, it was like, well, an iPad is an iPad. And if mostly what you want to do is do iPad, you should just buy the iPad. And that's less and less true as the Air gets further away from it.
Here's my one. If you have kids, you buy them an iPad, and then they discover that Apple Arcade exists, and they download games from Apple Arcade, you will quickly run into the fact that the base iPad cannot play Dreamlight Valley.
What is Dreamlight Valley?
It's a Disney RPG. I don't know. To you.
Well, this is good universal advice that is definitely not just
saying,
specific to your
There's a category
life
of games that if you want to hold on to the iPad for a while, probably the base iPad can play it now, the new base iPad. But the one we have cannot play Dreamlight Valley. And so like the iPad is content viewing device, can last for a long time. If you start to play games on this thing, that's when the base model does not last as long. Are you just Googling Dreamlight Valley?
Well, there's a bunch of people in the chat saying the 12th generation iPad, and I was like, oh my God, did I miss a launch? And I believe the answer is no, but there have been rumors of a 12th generation iPad coming soon. So hopefully I will be proven right, and this will be fine, and like that will go back to being a good deal. But right now it's like you need the one with the horsepower, because like you said, you can do a lot of stuff. It is a gaming machine for a lot of people. It is, you're gonna do architecture drawings with augmented reality apparently. But what you want is something that is going to last you a decade, because it should. Your iPad should last you 10 years. And I think this Air has a shot at that in a way that the base iPad currently does not. But like, we'll run a bunch of tests. I think the one thing I am excited about with the Air is, so last year I reviewed the iPad Pro, which had the new, is it the C1X, the
Yeah.
new wireless chip, and got like astonishingly good wireless speeds, like 50% to 100% faster than I was getting on other iPads just sitting next to each other. And it's like, there are a million reasons that could be, right? That newer devices have less going on, stuff gets old, like you never know. But if this one can do that again, A, this is a huge win for Apple's own chips, and B, I think cellular iPad is one of the great things that exists, and everyone should have one. If you're going to buy an iPad, I so firmly believe you should get cellular connectivity, because it A, just works. If you also have an iPhone, it just sort of eSIMs between them super seamlessly. The iPad is an amazing hotspot. It's just like a forever lasting hotspot. Yeah. So it just sits in my bag and I hotspot it from it all the time. And the thing where you can just pull it out and use it anywhere, like meaningfully changes your relationship with your iPad.
Yeah.
And even little things like, the Kindle app will always be in sync because it can just sync when you open it up. It's like that stuff adds up. This is why I want a MacBook with a cellular connection. Like that was one thing I was hoping would be in the Neo that is not, is 5G, because that again changes the set of things you can do with it.
Like I got to do this grape surgery for my $600
Yeah,
laptop.
for what they're trying to do here, cellular wouldn't make any sense. Like having a student device with
The
cellular is a
C1X
waste
is really
of money.
interesting. Apple got in some trouble because they really had a contentious relationship with Qualcomm.
Yeah.
They were trying to go to Intel for modems. The Intel modems, they eventually bought Intel's modem business. They were underperforming. So they started throttling the Qualcomm modems they were using to make them perform as well as the Intel modems, which is not good. They got in a bunch of trouble for this. And I think the C1 was like, it performed as well as the Intel modems. They put it in a bunch of cheap stuff. I think the C1X, which is their modem that they're going to produce at scale, might be outperforming the Qualcomm modems. It's very hard to test this stuff. But if it's outperforming the Qualcomm modems, that's a big deal because they will just put it in everything, because there's no reason for them to like make different versions of the modem.
Right.
Like that's just scale. Just put it in everything. And they don't have to pay Qualcomm its licensing fees.
Right.
So if they've actually pulled it off with the C1X here, we'll see.
Yeah, it puts Apple like even more in control of its own destiny in Silicon ways.
I'm saying
powerful.
we'll see because Allison is at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona this week, where they are talking about launching 6G.
We made it so far without talking about 6G.
It's coming, baby.
Not ready for this. All right, that's as good a thing to end on as any. We've been here a while. You and I have to go. We have to get back. Anything else in your mind before we say goodbye to the chat and get out of here?
No, I will just say this to the chat from the bottom of my heart. One of my superpowers is no one can tell when I'm embarrassed because I'm brown. The blood rushed to my face and I was embarrassed. And I've gotten myself out of a lot of trouble by just not like people can't tell. I'm very embarrassed by getting that wrong. So I'm just admitting it to you. I usually do not get display specs wrong. Hopefully that you can trust me after all these years. We're just cutting it out of whatever is here.
I was going to say, everyone should know that Nilay gets this wrong every single time. And we just normally cut it out of the podcast.
There's like 13 takes of meeting display text. On
every episode is twice as long, and then we cut out all the things Nilay's wrong about.
The couple thousand people who have been on this live stream, they'll know that I duffed it. And it's going to disappear from the internet now. And you'll just be like a whisper in the wind. Kilroy was here. You know what I mean?
This is the last anyone will ever see of this episode.
I'm actually discontinuing the iPhone 17
for decades.
So we don't talk about this.
People will refer to this as LCD Gate. This will be the end. I only
said it because they looked me in the eyes, man.
I will say you came away from a demo saying that, and it's like this is what we do. We issue a correction and we move on with our lives. And your boss yells at you until you do better next time.
There's no one that's like,
That's what the chat's here for. The chat's our boss today.
That's our boss.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We should get out of here. Thank you to everybody who has been here watching, hanging out with the chat. We're going to do this a lot more often. This is very fun. B, it's a nice thing to do. It turns out we're in a moment where there's too much news for the amount of show that we make. So to be able to do this and then we can come back.
We're going to start the Friday show. It's been a heavy week of politics in this world. There's a lot going on. We're starting the Friday show with me just experiencing pure gadget related joy.
Whoa, that's a good. Okay.
I've never been happier with a gadget in my life. And it's like an extremely stupid, extremely Nilay situation. I'm promising we're going to start the Friday show with that, and then we'll talk about all this stuff.
What a good tease.
Yeah.
All right. Until then, thank you to everybody. Thank you to Travis and Denise and Eric and the whole team for getting all of this set up and running for us. We're going to go back and yell at Apple about OLEDs. Nilay, say goodbye to the people.
Rock and roll.